The crystalline spires of the harmonious assembly central station sparkled like frozen starlight against the void of space. High Administrator Vesa stood at her observation post, her iridescent scales shifting from azure to violet as she studied the latest reports. The assembly had maintained peace in this sector for over 3 centuries, their advanced technology and diplomatic prowess ensuring stability among dozens of species. Today that peace was about to be tested. High Administrator. Second Monitor Killith burst into the chamber, his auxiliary breathing gills flaring with agitation. We've detected an unknown vessel entering the outer defense grid. It's unlike anything in our database. Vesa's inner eyelids flickered as she activated the main display. The vessel that appeared before her was a stark contrast to the elegant designs of assembly ships. Dark metal plates covered its hull like scales of some ancient predator, scoring and blast marks telling tales of recent battles. Its shape spoke of purpose rather than beauty, a weapon forged in the depths of space. Analysis. Vesa's voice remained calm, though her scales betrayed her concern with ripples of deep blue. The vessel's mass is approximately 3 times that of our largest defensive cruiser, Killith reported. Energy readings suggest weapon systems far beyond our current understanding. And he hesitated. It's accelerating directly toward our central station. Vesa's attention shifted to another display, showing the refugee ships that had arrived 3 days ago. The Nexeri, they had called themselves, victims of a civil war in their home system. The assembly had granted them sanctuary without hesitation, as they had done countless times before. Track its trajectory, she ordered, though she already suspected what she would find. It matches perfectly with the path taken by the Nexeri refugees, High Administrator. The massive vessel's approach triggered memories of ancient warnings passed down through generations of assembly leaders. Legends spoke of species that evolved not in peace but in constant conflict, forged in the crucible of endless war until violence became as natural as breathing. Species that could never truly understand the harmony the assembly had worked so hard to create. Open a communication channel, Vesa commanded. All frequencies, all known formats. The response was immediate, but not in words. The unknown vessel's outer hull began to shift, panels sliding aside to reveal weapon ports that dwarfed anything in the assembly's arsenal. Yet they remained dormant, neither powering up nor targeting the station. It was a display of capability rather than immediate threat, a predator showing its teeth without striking. We're receiving a transmission, Killith announced. Text only, encoded in basic mathematical sequences. The message appeared on Vesa's display, its simplicity belying its weight. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Retribution. We are pursuing criminals responsible for attacks on human colonies resulting in over 12,000 civilian deaths. Our scans indicate they are currently aboard your station. We have no hostile intentions toward your people, but we will not leave without these criminals. Choose carefully how you proceed. Vesa's scales shifted to the deep green of crucial decision-making. The assembly had always prided itself on offering sanctuary to those in need. But what if they had been deceived? What if their mercy had been weaponized against them? The massive human vessel hung in space like a dark promise, its scarred hull a testament to battles fought and won. Behind Vesa, the elegant spires of the station continued their eternal dance with starlight, peace and violence balanced on the edge of a blade. She had to decide, maintain the assembly's principles of sanctuary and risk protecting murderers, or cooperate with this unknown species and risk changing everything the assembly stood for. Either way, she knew with crushing certainty that after today, nothing in the assembly would ever be quite the same. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Retribution, her dark eyes fixed on the gleaming alien station. Behind her, holographic displays showed constant updates on shield status, weapon readiness, and crew positions. The bridge crew worked in practiced silence, every movement precise and purposeful. Multiple vessels approaching, Lieutenant Park reported from his sensor station. Elegant design, minimal weapons, more ceremonial than military. He paused, studying new data. They're forming a defensive screen between us and the station. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The alien ships were beautiful, their hulls flowing like liquid metal in space. But beauty wouldn't stop the retribution, not after they'd chased these pirates across 17 light-years of space. "Status update on our refugees," she ordered. Commander Rivera, her XO, brought up detailed scans of the ships docked at the alien station. "Energy signatures confirm what we suspected, Captain. Those civilian vessels are heavily modified warships. They've masked their weapons behind false hull plates, but we're detecting power fluctuations consistent with military-grade shield generators." "Show me the colony footage again." The main view screen filled with images that made several bridge crew members look away. New Adelaide colony, 48 hours ago. Buildings burned while pirates gunned down civilians in the streets. The attackers had been methodical, efficient, and completely ruthless. Sarah's hands tightened on the command rail. "Send another message to the station. Append the colony footage this time." Minutes stretched into tense silence as they waited for a response. Finally, Lieutenant Park straightened at his console. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the station. They're requesting a face-to-face meeting." "Interesting." Sarah studied the station's defensive screen. They could have simply denied everything, hidden behind their shields and diplomatic protocols. She turned to Rivera. "Your assessment?" "Either they're very confident in their defenses," Rivera said, "or they're genuinely interested in the truth. The station's design suggests a civilization built on cooperation rather than conflict. They might not be equipped to handle this kind of deception." Sarah nodded. "Or they're buying time for the pirates to escape." She activated the ship-wide comm. "Security Team Alpha, prepare for diplomatic mission. Full combat loadout, concealed carry. Marines, stand by for rapid response." The alien ships parted as a small shuttle departed the station, heading toward the retribution. Sarah watched its approach, noting its lack of weapons and minimal shielding. Either these aliens were incredibly naive or incredibly confident. "Captain," Rivera said quietly, "if this goes wrong, we'll be massively outnumbered." "True." Sarah's expression hardened. "But they've never faced anything like us before. And after what those pirates did to New Adelaide." She left the thought unfinished. The shuttle docked with practiced grace, and soon the bridge received word that a delegation of 3 aliens had arrived. Sarah took a moment to straighten her uniform before heading to the conference room. Whatever happened next would shape relations between humanity and this new civilization for generations to come. The conference room doors slid open to reveal 3 tall, elegant beings with iridescent scales and flowing robes. Their leader, distinguished by elaborate markings, stepped forward with fluid grace. "I am High Administrator Vessa of the Harmonious Assembly," she said, her words translated by a small device at her throat. "We have reviewed your evidence regarding our refugees." Her scales rippled with what might have been distress. "If what you say is true, we have been gravely deceived." "The evidence doesn't lie," Sarah replied, activating a holographic display of the colony attack. "These refugees murdered thousands of innocent civilians. They specifically targeted residential areas, schools, hospitals. This wasn't war, it was slaughter." Vessa's scales shifted to a deep, troubled blue. "We pride ourselves on offering sanctuary to those in need. The thought that someone would exploit this." She straightened suddenly, scales flashing with determination. "Captain Chen, I propose cooperation. Your experience in combat, combined with our knowledge of the station." The deck shuddered beneath their feet. Emergency lights flashed as alarms blared throughout the ship. "Bridge to Captain." Rivera's voice crackled over the comm. "The pirate ships are powering up weapons. They're firing on the station's defensive systems." Sarah locked eyes with Vessa, seeing her own fury reflected in the alien's crystalline gaze. They had both been deceived, their principles used against them. Now it was time to show these pirates exactly why that had been a terrible mistake. "High Administrator," Sarah said, already moving toward the door, I believe this is the beginning of a very productive partnership. The harmonious assembly central station shook as another explosion tore through its defensive grid. Through the massive observation windows, Vesa watched in horror as the true nature of their refugees revealed itself. The supposedly civilian ships had transformed, weapon ports emerging from false hull plates, their elegant lines giving way to brutal efficiency. Status report, she commanded, her scales shifting rapidly between combat red and decision green. They'd disabled 30% of our external defenses, Kelleth reported, his auxiliary gills fluttering with stress. But that's not the worst of it. We're detecting energy signatures throughout the station, some kind of devices they must have planted during their stay. On the main display, the human warship Retribution moved with surprising grace for its size, already engaging two of the pirate vessels. Its weapons were unlike anything Vesa had ever seen, cutting through shields that the assembly had considered impenetrable. High Administrator, a junior technician, burst into the command center. We've lost contact with multiple security teams. The refugees, the pirates, they're moving through the station with military precision. They're heading for the central core. Captain Chen's voice crackled over the emergency channel. Administrator Vesa, my teams are detecting quantum signature bombs throughout your station. These aren't just pirates. They're trying to take control of your entire facility. Vesa's scales paled. The station's central core contained their most advanced technology, including the quantum field generators that maintained the assembly's vast communication network. If the pirates gained control of that, they could hold the entire sector hostage, she whispered. Not if we stop them first. Chen's voice carried the steel of absolute determination. My Marines are ready to deploy, but we need your help. We don't know the station's layout, and we can't distinguish your security forces from the pirates on our scans. A massive explosion rocked the station again. Through the chaos, Vesa made her decision. The assembly had maintained peace through diplomacy and technological superiority for centuries. They had never needed to develop the art of war. But these humans, they understood violence in ways her people had forgotten. Uploading station schematics to your systems now, she said, her voice steady despite her racing hearts. I'm also sending security codes to bypass emergency lockdowns. Our defensive forces will display blue marker lights. The pirates have compromised our internal sensors, but we can still track them through power fluctuations. Understood. A pause. Administrator, you should know. These pirates, they've done this before. They infiltrate peaceful stations, use them as bases for raids. What they did to our colonies, they're not going to show your people any mercy. Then perhaps it's time we stopped showing them mercy as well. Vesa's scales shifted to a color she had never displayed before, the deep purple of righteous fury. Captain, I'm deploying our most advanced shield technology around the central core. It will buy us time, but we need to evacuate non-essential personnel. Already on it. Retribution's medical bays are prepped and ready. But first, we need to deal with those bombs. Administrator, I need your best engineers. We'll pair them with our explosive ordnance teams. Through the observation windows, Vesa watched as sleek dropships launched from the Retribution, weaving through weapons fire with incredible skill. The human vessel itself was now fully engaged with the pirate ships, its superior firepower forcing them into defensive positions. Security teams report multiple breaches on levels 12 through 15, Kelleth announced. The pirates are better armed than our forces. Not for long. Vesa accessed the station's restricted weapons vault, something no high administrator had done in living memory. Captain Chen, I'm authorizing your forces to use lethal force as needed, and I'm deploying our ceremonial guard. Ceremonial guard. The assembly hasn't fought a war in centuries, Captain, but we remember. Our ceremonial guard trains with weapons and techniques passed down from our more militant past. They're about to remind these pirates why the assembly's peace was a choice, not a necessity. The station's internal sensors showed human Marines linking up with assembly security teams, their different technologies and tactics already beginning to complement each other. The pirates had expected to find only the peaceful face of the assembly. Instead, they were about to face the combined might of humanity's most advanced warship and an ancient civilization's awakening fury. "One more thing," Captain Vessa said, watching as the first joint human assembly team began sweeping the station. "When this is over, I believe we have much to discuss regarding future cooperation between our peoples." "Agreed." Chen's voice carried a hint of grim satisfaction. "But first, let's teach these pirates what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness." Throughout the station, alarms continued to blare as both sides prepared for the coming battle. The pirates had chosen this station believing it would be an easy target. They were about to learn just how wrong they had been. Marine Sergeant Maya Rodriguez moved through the station's crystalline corridors with practiced precision, her team advancing in perfect formation. Beside them, members of the Assembly's ceremonial guard demonstrated that their title severely understated their capabilities. The aliens moved like liquid shadow, their ceremonial armor now reconfigured into sleek combat suits. Contact front. The warning came simultaneously from both human and alien sensors. The corridor ahead erupted in weapons fire as pirates tried to hold their position. "Guardian Teth," Maya called to the ceremonial guard's leader. "Can your shields handle their energy weapons?" The alien warrior's scales flickered with what Maya was learning to recognize as anticipation. "Better than handle them." "Sergeant, watch." The ceremonial guards raised their crystalline shields in perfect unison. The pirates' energy weapons struck the translucent surfaces and bounced back, catching their former owners completely by surprise. Maya's team didn't waste the opportunity, their own weapons finding targets with lethal accuracy. "Impressive," Maya acknowledged as they secured the corridor. "Those shields absorb and redirect energy. Technology from our more militant age," Teth confirmed. "Like many things, we kept it but forgot its true purpose. Until today." Above them, the station shuddered as the battle continued in space. The Retribution was keeping the pirate ships occupied, preventing them from bringing their heavy weapons to bear on the station. But time was running out. "Control, this is Strike Team Alpha," Maya reported. "We're 3 levels below the central core. Multiple hostile contacts eliminated. No casualties on our side." "Confirmed, Alpha." Captain Chen's voice was tight with concentration. "Be advised, we're detecting power spikes from those quantum devices. The pirates are getting desperate." High Administrator Vessa's voice joined the channel. "The central core's shields are holding, but they're adapting their attacks. We need to end this quickly." Maya's team moved forward, human and alien warriors now working in seamless coordination. What the humans lacked in advanced technology, they made up for in combat experience. What the assembly guards lacked in battlefield practice, they compensated for with incredibly advanced equipment. They encountered heavier resistance as they approached the core. Pirates had set up strong defensive positions, clearly anticipating the counterattack. But they hadn't anticipated this level of cooperation between humans and aliens. "Guardian Teth," Maya called out during a brief lull in the fighting. "Those shields of yours, can they be expanded?" The alien warrior studied her for a moment, scales shifting thoughtfully. "Yes, but maintaining a larger field requires more power and concentration. Enough to cover our advance through that kill zone ahead." Teth's scales flickered with understanding. "Ah, yes, Sergeant. I believe I see your strategy." The pirates had transformed the approach to the central core into a death trap, with interlocking fields of fire covering every angle. A frontal assault would be suicide, unless you had the right tools. "Strike Team Alpha to all units," Maya broadcast. "Prepare for synchronized assault. Assembly guards will take point with shield wall. Marines will provide cover fire. Engineering teams stand by to deal with those bombs." The plan came together with precision that would have seemed impossible just hours ago. The ceremonial guards formed a perfect phalanx, their crystalline shields linking to create an impenetrable energy barrier. Behind them, Marine fire teams moved in practiced formations, their weapons finding gaps in the pirates' defenses. "They're falling back to the core," someone shouted. "There? Wait, something's wrong." A new alarm filled the station, its pitch making both humans and aliens wince. On everyone's tactical displays, energy readings from the quantum bombs suddenly spiked. "They're overloading the devices." Vessa's voice carried genuine fear. "If those bombs detonate this close to the core." "How long?" Captain Chen demanded. 2 minutes, maybe less. "The interference is too strong for our remote deactivation signals." Maya looked at her team, saw the same determination in alien and human faces alike. "Control, we're going in." "Engineering teams, prepare for rapid bomb disposal." "Everyone else, give them the time they need." The next 2 minutes became a blur of desperate combat. The pirates, realizing their plan had failed, fought with suicidal fury. But they faced warriors who had fought across the stars and guards who had trained for centuries. Step by step, the combined teams pushed forward. 1 minute. The warning echoed through everyone's comms as engineering teams raced to reach the bombs. Human explosive experts worked alongside assembly technicians, their different approaches and technologies combining in ways neither side had imagined possible. 30 seconds. The last pirates fell defending the core entrance. Maya's teams secured the area as engineering crews sprinted past them, racing against time. 15 seconds. Assembly technicians interfaced with human equipment, their advanced sensors guiding human hands trained in the art of defusing weapons. 10 seconds. The final quantum signature bomb's crystal housing cracked open. 5. Human and alien fingers moved in perfect synchronization. 3. A final connection severed. 2. The bomb's ominous humming died, leaving behind a silence as deep as space itself. Through the station's windows, Maya watched the Retribution's weapons tear through the last pirate vessel. The battle was over. Humans and aliens stood together, warriors and peacekeepers united by a common cause. High Administrator Vessa's voice carried a new tone, one of profound respect. "Captain Chen, I believe this marks the beginning of a significant change for the Assembly. Perhaps we have grown too comfortable in our peace." "Or perhaps," Chen replied, "we've all learned that true peace comes from strength shared between friends, not weakness hidden behind diplomacy." Maya looked at her alien counterparts, saw her own exhausted satisfaction reflected in their shifting scales. Together, they had proved that the galaxy's greatest strength lay not in weapons or technology, but in the ability to unite against those who would threaten the peace of civilized space. The Assembly's central station had survived, its crystalline spires still gleaming in starlight. But its true victory wasn't in the battles won or enemies defeated. It was in the bridges built between two very different civilizations, bridges that would change both their futures forever. 1 week after the battle, the harmonious Assembly Central Station hummed with renewed energy. Repair crews worked alongside engineering teams from the Retribution, rebuilding damaged sections, and, more importantly, upgrading the station's defensive systems. The gleaming spires no longer represented just peace and diplomacy. They now stood as a testament to the strength found in unity. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the newly reconstructed council chamber, watching assembly technicians integrate human defensive algorithms into their systems. Beside her, High Administrator Vessa's scales rippled with thoughtful colors as she studied the activity. "Your people adapt quickly," Sarah observed. "A week ago, the idea of military installations in this station would have been unthinkable." "We adapt because we must," Vessa replied. "The galaxy, it seems, is not as peaceful as we had chosen to believe, but perhaps that's not entirely unfortunate." Her scales shifted to a curious blue-green. "Your arrival has taught us much about strength, not just in weapons, but in willingness to act." The main display showed the aftermath of their victory. The pirate ships had been completely neutralized, their crews now held in containment fields that combined assembly and human technology. More importantly, their captured databases had revealed the locations of other pirate bases and staging areas. The prisoner interrogations have been enlightening, Vesa continued. These pirates have been exploiting peaceful civilizations across 3 sectors, using our own principles of sanctuary against us. We were not their first target, merely their most ambitious one. Sarah nodded grimly. They saw your advanced technology and thought they could seize it. Instead, they gave us something far more valuable. An alliance. The chamber doors opened as Guardian Teth entered with Sergeant Rodriguez. The human and alien warriors had spent the past week training together, each learning from the other's techniques and technologies. Already, new combat doctrines were emerging that combined assembly precision with human adaptability. The joint training programs are exceeding expectations, Teth reported, his scales showing proud copper tones. The Marines' combat experience complements our traditional forms perfectly, and their perspective on our ancient weapons has helped us rediscover capabilities we had forgotten. Maya grinned. Turns out those ceremonial weapons of yours are some of the most advanced combat systems we've ever seen. You just needed to remember how to use them properly. A holographic message materialized in the center of the chamber, a priority transmission from Earth Command. Sarah read it quickly, her expression brightening. It's official, she announced. The Earth Defense Force is establishing a permanent liaison office here. The Assembly has been recognized as a full strategic partner. She turned to Vesa. Your request for joint patrol operations has been approved. Vesa's scales rippled with satisfaction. Excellent. The Assembly has voted as well. We are creating a new division, the Strategic Defense Corps. It will combine our technology with your military doctrine, ensuring we never again mistake kindness for vulnerability. Through the chamber's windows, Sarah watched as assembly ships practiced new formation maneuvers alongside the Retribution. The alien vessels were still beautiful, their lines still elegant. But now they moved with purpose, their crews learning to be both peacekeepers and warriors. There will be resistance, Vesa admitted. Many in the Assembly still believe we should remain purely diplomatic. But the pirates proved that peace requires more than just good intentions. It requires the strength to defend it. And the wisdom to know when to use that strength, Sarah added. She gestured to where human and alien crews worked together. Look at them. A week ago, they couldn't even communicate. Now they're building something new together. Guardian Teth approached with a ceremonial weapon, one of the ancient devices his people had maintained for generations. Captain, the Assembly Guard would be honored if you would accept this. It's been modified to interface with human neural patterns. Sarah accepted the weapon carefully, feeling its perfect balance. The honor is mine, Guardian, and I have something in return. She produced a small data crystal, complete technical specifications for the Retribution's defense systems. Your engineers have already proven they can improve on them. Vesa's scales shifted through a complex pattern of colors. From this day forward, our strengths are shared. The pirates sought to exploit our differences, but instead they forged a bond between our peoples. The station's powerful sensors suddenly activated, detecting new signatures at the system's edge. But this time, there was no fear in the Assembly's response. Human and alien crews moved with practiced coordination, their combined capabilities ready to face any threat. Another gift from Earth Command, Sarah explained, watching the new arrivals. A permanent defense fleet for the station, crewed by both our peoples. The new ships emerged from hyperspace, Earth vessels redesigned with assembly technology, their hulls gleaming with the same crystalline beauty as the station itself. They represented something unprecedented, the perfect blend of human determination and assembly innovation. High Administrator Vesa raised her hand in a formal gesture. Captain Chen, I believe this is what humans call the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Sarah smiled, recognizing the reference. Actually, Administrator, I think it's something more. It's the beginning of a new era for both our peoples. Together, they watched their crews work, their ships patrol, and their civilizations grow stronger through unity. The pirates had intended to exploit the Assembly's peaceful nature, never realizing they would instead forge an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. Above them, the stars shone on, witnessing the birth of something remarkable. A partnership that combined the best of both worlds, proving that true strength lies not in weapons or technology, but in the bonds forged between those who choose to stand together.